republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Okay, we've got the agenda ahead of us. Is there any additions, corrections, deletions?
I'll move to approve the agenda as presented.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay, we got a motion and a second to approve the agenda. Is there any other discussion? If not, we'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. With that, we've got the minutes from last week's board meeting in your packet. Has everybody had a chance to review those?
I thought they read well. I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we got a motion and a second on the floor. Any other discussion? If not, we'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll start out Manning Main Street. I don't see anybody here yet.
That's me.
Oh, that's you, okay. Harvey didn't come with you today.
No, he didn't.
Should we do introductions just for your sake and start Neil?
Sure.
You can have a chair here.
You can pull up a chair up front here if you want.
My name is Sarah McPherson. I'm the executive director. I just started in September
Welcome.
this year. So, thank you.
So-
S-A-R-A-H.
H. Yep.
Okay. Neil, you
What
want to
was
start?
the last name?
McPherson.
Person? Neil, you want to start out with introductions?
I'm Neil Bach, Carolina.
Gene Miners, from Talbot.
Marty Danzer from Carroll.
Rich Ruggles from Carroll.
Dean Shetler from Breda.
Okay, welcome.
Thank you.
So what is your position now?
I'm the executive director,
Okay, of
Main Street Manning.
Main Street Manning.
Yep.
Was there a director before this?
Yes.
And who was that?
Cindy Reiniger.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Usually Ron
Okay.
Reichel and Harvey came up.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, I kind of miss Harvey's mug here.
I know, I tried to get him to come with me, but I think he's still working on moving the
He's
new
like a
house.
staple here.
I'll have to let him know.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You're welcome. So I just have a couple of stats. Dawn provided me with this. In the last 10 years, assessed values in all of the cities in Iowa collectively grew 36%. Manning grew 41%. In the last 5 years, all of the cities in Iowa collectively grew 14%. Manning grew 24%. So that growth has allowed us to lower tax levies while providing our service. We have 9 new houses going up, 5 within city limits, about $3,500 a year in tax revenue. Some of our 2018 goals, we're still going to work on recruiting new businesses, increase our downtown housing. We have 2 apartments that should be finished this year, and then continue to improve our streetscape and improve signage and our entrance signage to Main Street. We appreciate your support and look forward to continued support.
I'm curious, you say you have 9 new houses, 5 in the city limits. How far out are you going to get the other 4?
You know, I don't know exact, they're not too far out. They're just kind of, I'm trying to think of the furthest one. I think it's maybe 10 miles out of town,
Okay.
maybe not quite that far. I haven't quite ventured out to see where the outside of the city limits houses are.
Okay.
So, I know there's one actually just right catty corner from me, and I think that's the farthest one. But,
Okay.
yeah.
Now I remember why Harvey didn't come.
Yeah.
Because his is the biggest one of the bunch.
Yeah, I know
remember
he
him
was
telling
working
me
on
he's building
moving
one,
in.
yeah. It's
Yep.
huge.
Mhm.
So do you have any Main Street downtown apartments now?
We do. Yep.
And are they in the city? Who owns those?
I-
Individuals own those? Is that the
I
deal?
know-
Yeah.
So are they funded then?
Yep.
Are they funded in any way?
You know, I'm not really sure.
The one I went on tour to one, and that got some state funding through some program,
Mhm.
rehabilitation things.
Yeah, I know with our 2 that are being done this year, we got the challenge grant through Main Street, Iowa.
Okay.
As far as the other ones, I just moved to Manning about a year ago. I'm from Indianola, just south of Des Moines.
Okay.
So, yeah,
Newcomer.
I'm kind of just jumping right in right away.
Sextro, the attorney's got one.
Yep. And he's actually the one that is doing the extra 2.
Yeah.
The extra 2? So
Yeah.
I'm assuming they're rented? They're rented
The
out.
one that he has finished, it's rented, yes, and he has people that are
In the other
interested in the other 2.
two?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, he's had a couple people reach out to him.
And I will say that it's a nice apartment. So
Mhm.
that one, if I remember right, it's a 1-bedroom apartment. It's really nice.
Is it, what's that above?
The one that he has finished is right above the Main Street Manning office, and then the two that he's doing are right above his law office.
Okay.
So how do you feel that the housing situation, that's what you're focusing on mainly here is
Mhm,
the
yeah.
housing situation. So how do you feel of how the housing situation is going in Manning? I mean, is it doing the things that you plan them to do? Is it delivering?
I think so, and I think that's kind of with our goal. We want to get more like right downtown. I think we would kind of like to build a complex right downtown, just so that it's kind of closer with everything that's right there.
I know that Manning with the assisted living that you put up,
Yeah.
you know, that was supposed to free up housing.
Mhm.
So you
Yeah.
think that's done that?
It has, yeah. I still think we're still kind of a struggle with that. I mean, it opened a lot of houses.
It has freed up houses?
Yeah, I know they're all full right now. And that's, I mean, you know, that's still a struggle that we're having, but.
Sure.
Yeah, the 5 new houses that we have going up in the city limits, that was a big deal. I know that's been really successful. So I think that we're gonna try and reach out and have that.
So there's still, you think there's still a big need for houses yet?
Yeah.
I'm getting that from the background
Yeah.
there. Am I right?
Chantel?
Do I get an appearance that you think there's still a need?
They don't hit the general market, that's the issue. They're always
Well,
sold before.
They
and
always
so-
say a lot
They're
of.
sold at the funeral home, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
I've heard that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, yeah, houses change hands, but they're generally not
Well,
knowledge.
yeah.
but-
Right.
So, I mean, there's still a need then. So.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So the account, you are accomplishing a goal because
Mhm.
you are filling the houses that,
Mhm.
Yeah, they're getting
That come
filled, but
available.
They could use more.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
that's the thing. They need more that hit the general market, so the people that are wanting to move in know those houses.
sure,
Right.
okay.
Yeah, because it's just kind of word of mouth is how they're getting.
That's
filled.
not a bad thing to have happen.
Right.
That's a good thing.
Mhm.
Well, I have to commend Manning Main Street. They have done a lot over the last probably 4 or 5 years
Yeah,
since
you
this
know,
whole thing started.
it's
I mean,
pretty
it's brought a
great.
lot of youth back to Manning, and the Charmac, building that apartment complex has helped out the elderly.
Mhm.
I mean, Manning's got a lot going for it.
It is, and you know, coming from Indianola, just south of Des Moines, coming to a small town, it's amazing how well it's doing for a small town, and, you know, it's not really, granted, it's close to Carroll, but, you know, I'm used to Des Moines and having everything
Mhm.
right close, and for it being kind of just a small town out in the middle of nowhere, it's doing pretty good.
So is that an adjustment for you?
You know, it's been a little bit of an adjustment, but it's been a really good adjustment. It's been awesome. I really enjoy it. I like it a lot more than what I'm used to.
Don't have to commute.
Right, yeah, right. Yep, it's pretty nice.
15 blocks is not a commute, right?
No, no. Probably the biggest thing is, you know, having to travel farther to get to a bigger
Mhm.
chain store or whatever.
Omaha, Des Moines.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so are you originally from Indianola? then?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
No, I know that you're giving an update rather than a request for budgeting, but we've approved 2,500 for 3 years, what you.
Great.
Is that your request?
Yes.
Okay.
We still got a year on that yet, commitment, yeah?
2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
We approved it, and we approved
Last year.
2,500 back in 14, but in 18, I've got written here that, Courtney has written here that we've approved 2,500 for 3 years, so we have 18, 19, 20.
Okay.
That's what my records
what-
show, yeah.
Yeah, that's, I remember that now.
Speaking of which, we do need a letter from Manning Main Street requesting additional $500 before we pay it out.
Yep.
Okay.
So if you wanna
Have Dawn, what's that together?
email, you sure can, or send us a letter requesting.
Sure.
So we got a couple, you say we got another year yet, then
We
after.
haven't
Two.
paid out 18 yet.
2
This
years.
year and
We'll
then,
need
We must
that
have
any
approved
day.
FY 19,
Oh, we
FY
just
20.
approved it last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I have written down here.
Meet with the board.
That's what Courtney has written down.
We'll get that paid
I
out.
was thinking we were about done with that.
I can do that.
Okay, any other questions for Sarah?
Good meeting you.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you,
Nice
Sarah.
meeting you.
We'll keep in
Well,
touch.
County.
Best of luck to you.
Okay, with that, we'll go down to item number 2, is the Carroll County Library's fiscal 19 year funding. Who wants to be the spokesman for that one? Pull up chair.
I will be the spokesman. My name is Maura Marsh. I'm the director at the Coon Rapids Public Library. Erin Wolf from Glidden is unable to be here, but we have Linda Mulbauer from Manny, and then Rachel Van Erdwig from Carroll. So first of all, I'd like to say thanks for your past support for our libraries. We're very, very grateful for your financial backing that Carroll County has given us in the past. I believe you should have this in your packet. Linda put that together
last week.
and
Yeah,
sent it
last
over to
week, or-
Courtney.
Yeah, it was last week, yeah.
So, it sums up a lot of our activities that have occurred in our libraries on a county aspect, and I'd like to point out some significant aspects. 167,856 were the physical and download circulation. The majority of those were books at 124,930. So if you look down in the bottom left-hand corner, it shows that ebooks are down. Ebooks are the electronic downloads, and I think we mentioned that last year about ebooks being down. So people are still really wanting to read printed books. The average cost of our books have gone up about 8% a year the last 2 years. I wasn't able to figure that up. I started in February of 2016, so I was not able to compile the records for my library, but each year it's gone up on an average of 8%. Visits to our library, if you look up at the top left-hand corner, are up 7.4%, so we are getting people through the door, which is awesome. We're working very hard at keeping current with our collections as well as our services. The big emphasis right now, and I'm sure you gentlemen have heard in public schools as well as public libraries, are STEM activities, which are the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. We would like to incorporate those in our libraries. I think Carroll, in their design, has gotten a pretty advanced area for that. Coon Rapids hasn't gotten that, but we are just starting that prospect. We're gonna start it on a lower level, and I know Glidden's the same way. Linda, you can speak to what Manning has for STEM.
We have nothing right now, our school, STEM activities are, but our state accreditation process requires that we include some of it in our library.
Right. According to the U.S. Department of Commerce, STEM occupations are growing at 17%, while other occupations are growing at a much lower rate of 9.8%. So it's really important that we create critical thinkers, increase science literacy, and enable the next generation of innovators with STEM research. Children learn to build problem-solving skills, they learn math and science while having fun, they solve engineering problems, and basically discover how things work. It can be as simple as incorporating Legos and maker spaces for younger children, to evolving into 3D printers and completing electrical circuits and building simple robots out of soda cans or potatoes for older kids and young adults. And we'd like to incorporate these in our libraries as well. Program attendance was also up 12%. If you look at the top right-hand corner, speakers and performers are going up. The average cost of speakers are between $450 to $500 per speaker, which you can get speakers for less than that, but they don't keep the kids' attention, they don't keep adults' attention, and then we tend to lose our people with future programs. So with that being said, overall, we're requestfully asking 8% for our library funding for increase. And is there any questions that you guys have for us?
1% above last year's what you want. Okay. I'm just curious how your statistics are kept on your computer usage and your program attendance. That is the number of times a person or people use it, for one person maybe counted several times, right?
Program attendants are people, we count them as separate people through the door.
Okay.
So we count adults and children.
Okay. What I mean is, if you have a program in January and one in November, you count those people twice, is that right?
Right, because they're separate
Yeah, and you've always
programs.
done it that way, so
Yes.
you're up as a comparatively accurate figure,
Yes.
is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Linda or Rachel, or are there any comments you want to add?
I was gonna add some comments about assisted living, since you guys were already kind of talking about that. I've seen a huge shift in library usage because our assisted living facility was built.
Mhm.
I have a lot of acreages that now went from a widow living there to a family with 3 kids, and families with 3 kids visit the library.
Good.
So, my numbers are flat as far as physical circulation between fiscal year 16 and 17. But with this new school year, I'm already on track to pass last year's numbers for physical circulation. And those kids also come to the library after school, and so I count them in my in-house use. I tried to track rural use a little bit better, just because we really don't have a great way of doing anything other than physical circulation. Almost 100% of my in-house use is rural, and that's 2.3 times my physical circulation. So my rural use has increased. I'll also add, I was at a Iowa-wide library conference. One of the breakout sessions was rural funding, understanding your supervisors, and I attended that. 500 people attended that conference. I don't know how many were in the breakout session because it was all online, but somebody asked, how are you tracking your rural use? And no one has an answer for that. So just to give you an idea, we're not coming up short on information or data. All libraries struggle to get that information. But one thing we are doing is our countywide program. So in order to share costs as a county is something that you strongly encourage, which we're doing with our Everybody on the Same Page program. We're the only county-wide program that's offering that. There's towns that offer an all reads, but no county is doing it. And we received national recognition as the most widely attended county program with our Everybody on the Same program the first year, which was our orphan trains, and last year we almost doubled our numbers. So that's nationally recognized as one of the most widely attended county-sponsored events, I believe is how that category shakes down, so that's my main.
Rachel, you have anything?
Well, I mean, do you now know how to understand your supervisor?
One.
I'm sure you have more trouble with one than you do with us.
That's a loaded question.
Gotcha. Is your 3 promoted books, is that the Everybody on the Same Page thing? It's the same thing?
So, I'm sorry, say that again?
They have 3 promoted books, is that the Everybody
Yes.
on the page, same page?
Yeah.
Okay.
Rachel, you have anything you want to add?
I would say we have very similar outlook, what Linda was saying. I attended that same webinar online, and yeah, I agree, it's very hard to track rural versus city and so forth. Our rural use, from what I've gathered from fiscal 16-17 from the previous year, has been pretty steady. And I believe our Everybody on the Same Page numbers are great from what I've seen of that, so, but, yeah, I've been seeing similar things.
Yeah, and our rural use in Coon Rapids has actually gone up 4.4%. But it goes back to what Linda was saying, tracking just the physical checkouts. I did ask Erin, she's unable to be here, but she said they are staying flat, staying consistent at about 23% of their circulation. So we serve a big rural population as well.
You said the ebooks and audio is down, like over 9%.
Mhm.
Has it been going down, or is?
Yeah, ebooks
So is
has
that
been-
because of the competition out there? Is?
I don't know if it's the competition or people thought that they really were going to like ebooks a lot better than what they are. And a lot of people that were real gung-ho and got the Kindles and got the Nooks and did all the downloads, a lot of them are going back to just really liking to hold the book in their hand.
It's just kind of a fad.
Yeah.
How does your ebook process work? I'm just curious. I mean, how do you?
We all subscribe to we support a state library, and they offer over, I believe it's over 40,000 ebooks.
Okay, I got you.
And then they can log on through our site or through they can use their own device as well, but they can log on through our website and then download
Gotcha.
ebooks with no cost to them.
No cost.
Mhm.
So can they bypass your site or that you wouldn't have any knowledge of them doing this e-books? They have to go through you?
Yeah, they have to go through our site because
Okay.
they log in with a patron number
Oh, okay. So-
or have to set up an account. Some libraries do it different. We have them use their patron number, and some libraries have them set up their own accounts. But the only way they can access that is through a library website, so it is tracked.
Our state keeps track of all those statistics because they use that to negotiate the rates
Okay.
Sure.
with the companies. That they use to offer that service.
Well, it's interesting that it's down.
It was called Digital Fatigue by Forbes magazine. They said people do want their news delivered on their device, but when it comes to reading, people consider that a hobby. And at the end of the day, after looking at the computer, you don't want your hobby to also be looking at a computer screen. You want to hold a book. So that's the trend is going.
Well, I don't do either one. I don't read books. And
You just look at the pictures?
isn't that terrible? Yeah. But my wife does all the
Just look
time.
at the pictures.
And she would rather pick up a book. She's got a Kindle, and if it's free, she'll read it, but if she has to pay for it.
Well, you know, and it only makes sense, because like, when I do stuff on the computer, if it's a long document, I'll print it out before I read it on
Yeah.
the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I read it off the screen. I'm the other side of it, so.
Don't you, I don't know, I just get fatigued or something when I'm reading off that screen.
Any other questions for the library? Matt, thank you for your
Okay,
presentation.
thank you.
for your
Thank you.
time.
We'll keep in touch. Okay, with that, we'll go down to item number 3, ambulance department update. Daryl?
Morning, gentlemen.
Morning, Daryl.
How are you guys today?
Fine.
Thanks for seeing me. Got a little, but not a lot of stuff that thought I'd make you aware of. Let's see, first off, I was really happy I was at full staff. That lasted a week. Rick resigned for personal reasons, so I am still in the process of looking for another person. I've got 2 full-time applicants so far. I've interviewed one, I'm gonna bring the other one in, and I'm hearing I might give it another 1 or 2. So I'm kind of waiting to see how that goes. Recently interviewed a part-time paramedic and a part-time EMT. They just wanna work part-time. One of them's tied up with a hospital in Omaha, under contract with them, so they can only work part-time. The other one is the EMT, lives in Auburn, and they're seriously talking about working some part-time shifts, trying to work some day hours, which we can use the help on. So, we got that going. I do have 2 interested in taking the CCP class. We are lucky, we have 5 CCPs in Carroll County. When we get those 2 through, that'd be 7. There's a CCP shortage statewide. Found out the other day Mercy is giving, not Mercy, Mary Greeley is giving $1 raise for CCPs that will work there over their regular price. So hopefully we can get those 2 through in a little bit. That one rig that we're having trouble with, finally got all the records. Sent that off to John Reed, emission defect analysis coordinator with General Motors. Last email he sent me, he said he would have his team looking into the situation, and he politely told me the wheels at General Motors work real slow. It's gonna take a while before I find out anything. But I do have them looking into it. That rig is still giving us issues. We have not done anything with it. We're just kind of limiting where we go with it. And the other good thing about that rig is we're now leaking, got a leak in the rear end. We've had the seal fixed, it's pushing the seal back out, so we gotta take that somewhere and find out what's wrong with that rear end. Need more good news, I know.
We're waiting for the good news, yeah.
I'm leaving right now, it's worse. As you guys know, the way things went, there's a lot of stuff that the state that I don't know, you know, rules and stuff. So I got hold of a gentleman named Stephen Mercer, he's one of the heads of the Iowa Department of Public Health. He sent out this gentleman named Merle Reese and another gentleman, I can't remember his name, and we went through all the policies last Thursday. And I got a whole lot of good news there. Last year, the quality control policy was changed, the Lucas device policy was changed, the driving device policy was changed, the pharmacy agreement was changed, dispensing of unused medications policy was changed, reordering medications was changed, and tracking of medications was changed. So to put it bluntly, about every policy we got is now in violation and out of whack.
Is this on the state level?
This is on the state level.
Okay.
Now, the good thing is we're not up for inspection until May, I think is, but it's 2019. So those guys come up and give me the first round of what to do. I'm starting to work on changing policies. That was Thursday. Trying to get the driving policy done yet today and down to Coon Rapids because I gotta go through a driving class with them tonight. But they're gonna come back up as I get some stuff marked off, and we'll go through and make sure that I'm getting everything up to the state standards. The big one's gonna be the pharmacy agreement, because that is also dealing with the Iowa Board of Pharmacies. And there's some stuff in there that they were reading to me that they don't understand, but yet they're trying to make us figure it out. Like, one of them is if somebody falls and hurts their back, we give them morphine. According to the Iowa Board of Pharmacies, we have to go find that patient's family physician and have him sign off that we give it, and then we've got to keep a copy of it, and the pharmacy's got to keep a copy of it. And it's like, that's not gonna go very well. That's gonna be hard to do, and we're gonna have a ton of paperwork. So I'm digging into that policy, but I have not got a hold of them yet. That was Thursday. Like I said, I started on the driving policy this week. I'll get a hold of the Iowa Board of Pharmacy and find out what we gotta do.
I guess my comment is there a certain time frame that you have to get that done? I mean, it's not something that you can do right off.
I got until May of next year, 19. That's when they'll come around and inspect us, and that's when,
Yeah, as I recall, they re-inspect you every 3 years, right?
yes.
Okay, because I mean, the last inspection went very well, which would have been, what, a year?
16, May of 16.
16, yeah.
But they've
But
changed.
they changed policies since then, or was the
Yep.
inspection?
I don't know that much about the last inspection.
Yeah. You've got a copy of the inspection?
Oh, yeah, we got it, but all I've got is what was considered a first-time deficiency, and that is, you know, if Glidden didn't do something right, then it's a deficiency, it's blown out of proportion. But these ones, they were all changed in 2017, so now I'm basically starting all over. But we got until May 19, and like these guys said, I'm getting a jump on it. They know what's going on, they're gonna help me get things going, so by the time May rolls around in 19, we should be ready to rock and roll.
Good. Well, all the ambulance services will have to update their policies. won't
Yeah,
they?
as he said, I'm one of the few that's actually bright enough to call them and find out what's gotta be done, because they said there's gonna be thousands of them.
Yeah,
Or hundreds of them, I should
Hmm.
say, that aren't, but,
Non-compliant.
non-compliant, and we're starting over this pharmacy agreement and the tracking of the narcotics, the Schedule II drugs that are the big things. That's gonna be the tough one to keep everybody happy.
I'll back up a little bit. You said that this, if you give somebody morphine, you have to get a hold of their
What
medical doctor?
What the way it is written by the Iowa Board of Pharmacies right now is, right now, if we give, he falls, hurts his ankle, we give him morphine. we go to the ER doctor signs off that we give neomorphine, and we just hang on to that and keep track of it. Well, that's not good enough. And according to the Iowa Board of Pharmacy, the way it's written up there, is not only do I gotta get an ER doctor, but then I gotta go back to his personal doctor, and then I've gotta hang on to it, and the apothecary's gotta hang on to it, because that's where we get our meds from.
I mean, that's kinda hard to do when you're, let's say,
Yeah.
had a car accident or a heart attack.
Did you call it neomorphine? What'd you call it?
Morphine.
Morphine, just straight morphine.
Just
Okay.
Straight morphine. And then you get somebody traveling through from Minnesota and has a wreck, how do I get a hold of his family doctor?
Yeah,
Yeah.
at 3 o'clock in the morning, my family doctor's
Yeah.
in Mexico for all I know.
So this is gonna get to be interesting, but I'm starting to dig into it. First, I got a lot of time, so I wanna get it kinda knocked down. I'm starting on this driving policy because I'm getting ready to make some rounds with some towns, and they've changed that, and I can quick get that knocked out and approved, and get them everybody signed off on that, and then
Move on to the next
work
one.
on to the next one.
So the goodness is you're being proactive, huh?
That's good.
Or an idiot, I'm not sure which one.
That's a good term, good term.
So, we'll go with proactive.
Okay, anything else you guys, questions about, need to know? I just thought I'd come out and tell you what else going on.
This ambulance that you're having all this trouble, you can still use it though, it doesn't give any problems. It just that it flashes on the dash.
Just that, and now we're having that rear end leak that we gotta figure out.
Is he aware of that?
Oh, yeah, did you get the copy of this?
It's there.
Oh, no, I didn't.
You know what, we should probably put that on the agenda next week to accept that.
Hmm.
Yeah, to
Okay.
accept that off.
Yeah, we should.
Okay.
What is it?
Put, ambulance union. proposal.
Oh, union negotiation.
So what,
Local
728.
722.
do you wanna put that on the agenda for next,
Give that to Joanne.
yeah, just have her keep that.
No, I did not see that.
Wrapped up 25th, what it looks.
So we'll have to go officially approve, acknowledge receipt of that. Is that the right terminology?
Yeah,
Say
I think
that.
so.
Anything else?
We don't want to accept.
That's it for me.
right off anyhow.
Anything else?
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks, Darryl.
Darryl. You guys have a good one.
Yeah, Darryl, you keep up the good work.
I'll keep out the work, and I'll get it over.
You're doing all
That's the
good.
start of it.
Okay, with that, we'll go down to item number 4 is the home care aid 19 budget. Megan? Welcome.
Good morning.
Great timing, Megan.
Yeah.
Mike?
Good morning. Gosh, it's cold.
Megan,
It's warm weather.
before you start.
Yeah.
The copy we had in our packet did not have the side notes, so it didn't have the totals and the differences.
Oh, sure.
So nobody knows the totals, percentage change, except perhaps whoever copied your email.
Okay, okay. That makes sense. Okay. So.
What I told Megan is, she had sent an email to this, concerning this to myself, and
Yeah.
you got it too probably.
Yeah.
And off the side, she had totals, and you don't have totals. on
Yeah,
yours.
I'm gonna ask, where are these, where is
Okay.
this at?
She can get those to
So
you.
I'm assuming,
See, this is what we got in our packet. This,
Oh.
So I have to refer back to the email to get things.
okay. So I'm assuming, because I think Courtney had said she was gonna put them in, so she probably just didn't get that done, which is maybe why.
Probably here Friday. So we didn't get that.
That could be.
Do you have a revised copy there?
Why don't you just make a copy of that?
Yeah, why don't you make a copy of that? Is that okay?
Yeah,
Can we do
yeah,
that?
yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that'll save a lot of time.
Yeah.
Just
Yep.
kinda curious.
Hmm?
I was just kinda curious where that 115 went to. Just fell off the table.
The 115 is the pass-through grant.
Oh, yeah.
But
So-
it's zero, I mean,
'Cause
you're not gonna see
Well,
that through anymore.
I don't budget that.
That's just a pass-through grant. We talk about this every year.
Yep.
Till this year, I think we just kind of understood it and didn't ask, Neil and I
Um,
didn't ask about it.
So
but-
the pass-through grant line is, the way I've always understood it, all grants that come in from like the state of Iowa that Carrie gets, I get, public health gets, any new ops, they all come in under that revenue line, and then it goes back out under expenses to the various departments.
Okay.
So it's always been part of the home care budget, because they've just needed,
It's not a revenue that you work off of.
Right.
It's just a revenue that goes through your fingers
Right.
that you don't,
Yep.
you may get a piece of it, but not.
right. And then the, there's also the line under the expenses, that's the public health nurse line.
Okay.
So that's, so it is confusing in my budget why that's all in there, but.
There, now we're all on the same page.
All right. So.
I have a copy.
Oh, okay. That should be it. Okay, so we'll start on the top, the home care aid service fees. I kept the same at the 16.5. Other bridge contributions dropped down. I explained to the Board of Health that we had one in particular client that we got a great donation from every month that passed away. So I hope we can fill that gap with some new admits there, but that's why I did drop that line. The next line dropped, the home care, or excuse me, the Pure Larry nursing line dropped. The main reason behind this one, with the MCOs, we do not get as many home care aid visits. They typically, it used to be in the past, they would approve like 3 visits a week. Well, now they're approving 1 to 2 visits a week. So that's all they'll reimburse. So because they're not reimbursing at 3, we can't go 3. That's why that line took a hit.
So instead of getting 3 baths a week, they get 1 or 2.
1 to 2, mm-hmm. Yep, yep. That next line there, the for elderly waiver, so that's the budget line that I budget our, strictly our homemaker fees for waiver. And typically what I request, what I've been requesting from the MCOs, I've been getting. So I did keep that one the same. And then there's the state pass-through grant, that's the $115,000 that I think Courtney usually figures out whatever goes in there, but it's again not.
You don't get any of that money at all.
Mm-mm.
None of that gets used.
It comes in and is dispersed throughout other departments there. Our Elder Bridge grant there stayed the same, and the home, I'm down one line, the home care aid grant stayed the same, and then the Elder Bridge grant. So then the donation line, the Manning Community Chest, so those are just, typically we've been once a year we get a donation from them, so I don't budget for that. United Way, this year I went, put in 0 there. I got a letter from them. They are restructuring the way they do their donations, and so they're kind of revamping. They used to always pledge their money out before they have their fundraisers, and then if they of course didn't get enough in to give the various departments, so now they're doing fundraising first, and then they'll tell their agencies what they're gonna give. So for the current year we're in, that ends in June, I have not heard that we are gonna get anything yet. So, I mean, hopefully we will, but that's why I put the 0 there, and then the other lines there are just more donation lines. Usually we get something from the Coon Rapids United Fund, and then miscellaneous and other donations, so. And we did get a nice, I shared with the Board of Health last week, a nice donation from a client who passed. They made a nice write-up in the paper and gave us $1,000 as a memorial donation, so that was very nice to see. So that goes under the donation lines. Any questions with the revenue line? The big hit was the nursing contract because of the managed care companies not approving the visits, which is sad, and it's hard to tell these clients, you know, well, we used to come 3 times a week, and now you might see us 1 or 2 hard. Some of
So when
them
it gets
were-
to, so
That's
when it
kinda-
gets to me, then it'll just be Febreze, right?
Whatever works.
Well, I mean,
You know, they're old-
you seen that in
old-fashioned.
the paper, the MCO said that, like that one guy, doesn't need to have
Probably a
his
generic
diaper
one.
changed at all.
You probably want to get the real one.
Right.
They're human beings.
And that's where some of our clients who are more, you know, they're safe at home and they don't belong elsewhere. We've transversed them over to, our home care aid grant to try and go another visit a week, just 'cause they need more than 1 visit a week.
Mhm.
So it's been a struggle. And it's all of the agencies that bill them, I mean, it's hard, sad.
Is that gonna be a staff change? If you're not making that many visits? Are you
Well,
going
and
to be
so
able to-
I do have a staff, which will, and it reflects it in the salaries, and that beginning February 1 is going part-time. Her husband recently passed, and then she just decided, mainly because she no longer needs the employee spouse health insurance plan, she just needs for herself, so she went to part-time. So that also changed her health insurance. So that is helping us as far as with the visits, but otherwise,
Yeah, your salaries are down.
so, yeah, so, so down under the salaries, I did a 2.5 raise, and the reflection of that aide going from full-time to part-time is in here. And again, she's going part-time starting February 1, so that will also affect this current
This
budget a little
budget,
bit
right.
as well. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Health insurance, yep, yep. And then the FICA, IPERS, and the insurance, I use 6% there, so that's what I figured there.
We haven't given a clear direction to the department heads. I think 6% is what they're using. Our Blue Cross Blue Shield provider said our rates are going down 4%, but Courtney says they have a lot of big claims that haven't been considered yet, so I suppose 6% is safe.
I think it's pretty generous in this case, and you're already looking at 10% reduction in your budget because of the,
Well, I'm talking in general terms.
Yeah,
If
yeah,
we
yeah,
want to give
yeah.
a more accurate term,
Sure.
6% increase on.
And the thing is, we don't know what our stop loss.
Yeah, that'll be a
it's all
small
said
part of it.
But
too.
you know,
It will have effect.
Courtney had it at 4% reduction, it wasn't 4%, was it? One was up and one was down, it was basically a steady.
I think it was pretty
Basically level.
I
static,
thought the
yeah.
750 was down 1.7 and
The other one was up.
1.9.
Yeah.
So it was almost a moot
it's-
point.
Yeah, it's almost negligent, yeah. So you're pretty safe at 6%.
6%.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what we're saying.
Okay,
And
good.
it might be over budgeting a little bit for us, but we've got some other things that we don't know about yet.
Right, okay. Let's see, the Board of Health is at 250, and mainly what comes out of that line is the Board of Health member mileage reimbursement. So, that comes out of that line. The med and lab supplies, I dropped 500, that's our aid supplies that, I provide for them. Uniforms, I stayed the same. Mileage, I dropped a little bit. And training's the same. Med and health services, most of them stayed the same. That pass-through grant there is the, again, the revenue line that comes in and goes out under the expenses. And then my salaries, health insurance, FICA, and all that's figured there. And I did the same as the aides, so 2.5 and 6%. Office supplies at 1,000. Postage and mailing is the same. Mileage down there, 100. The telephone and that, so the internet is now taken out of my budget. The courthouse or Carl, I'm not sure how that works, but it's all budget, or all paid out of one lump sum for the Fricky building. So that's why that line dropped. That next line there is the public health nursing, so your guys' agreement with St. Anthony's for the public health nurse, so that's why there's a 0 there. And then the office maintenance maintenance at the 1,000, and then the equipment. So, and also I think I skipped over the electric power line is 0 now, cause that's the same, the utilities are all paid, Courtney pays those now.
Out of the
through our
courthouse budget.
Courthouse budget, yep.
And,
So that was taken out of my budget as well. So yeah, I kinda did some figures there on the back, so this year is, with, and mainly with the less revenue, but with the aide also going part-time, and then I had another aide that is going to be dropping to a, or that dropped to a single health insurance plan as well. Her husband is going on VA or whatever, so, with those two health insurance, the part-time, and that it's, like 10,000 less tax asking for the current, next fiscal year.
well, that's good news and bad news. We'd sure like to see.
The revenue side up.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yes, and I don't know, I mean, maybe now with the changes again from AmeriHealthcare tax dropping out and, United picking up those clients, I don't know if, now we're down to 2 companies instead of the 3. Changes all the time.
Well, hopefully things change with the MCOs and it comes back. That's all we can hope for.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Megan, comments?
Very good job. I have no questions.
Thank you, and keep up the good
Okay.
work.
Okay, thank you guys.
Thank you, Megan.
Thank you, Megan.
Do we need to get a hold of Carrie to come up, or is she coming up for the environmental health?
You want a buzzer at 161?
There.
Or I can go on.
There we go. We have to dial 9 to get out.
No, just 161.
Yeah, Carrie, hey, this is Marty up in the boardroom, or do you wanna come up and do your budget? Yeah, if you want to, yeah. Okay, see you in a bit. All right, bye.
What's Jean's number?
107.
107. Call Jean at 107. Tell her about 5 minutes, 10 minutes.
This is Gene. Yeah, Gene, we'll be ready for your budget in about 5, 10 minutes. Okay, see you in a bit. Bye.
Thanks.
You bet, thank you. Make sure we're all waiting to approve that plat, didn't we? Should we do that? Let's go down to the number 10, the plat, it's in your packet, we can approve that while we're waiting for Carrie.
Gene, you probably know more about that.
I think this is just to split up some of that ground, that's, this is an estate, and it looks pretty straightforward to me.
That's what I thought.
I'll make a motion that we approve the plat.
Okay.
I'll second that motion.
Got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Now we'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, Carrie, we're ready for your budget review?
Morning, Gary.
Morning, Carrie.
Morning.
Okay.
You all have it already, right? Because I didn't bring
Yep.
you any copies.
Yep, we've got a copy of it.
Okay. Didn't make a whole lot of changes. Crawford County is the same. Swimming pool is the same. We reduced the tanning and tattoo by a couple $100. And we raised passport, government fees by 50. Same, and we raised our water testing and abandonment a little bit. We've been using more of it, so we're gonna spend more of it and make more in the process. Salaries,
I back up, is this passport fees, that's all that you get to keep, or some of this gets passed on?
well, what do you mean pass on?
Does the state get part of this?
No.
Okay, this
That's
is what you
all
get.
ours.
Okay,
We did
that's better than driver's license.
457 passports from the middle of January to the end of the year last year.
How many again?
457 at $25 a piece. And then we started doing pictures. And I don't have an exact count of how many pictures we did, but it was probably over 300 pictures at $10 a piece. So it's been a very good improvement and a change to our program and to the passport program by offering the pictures. We've had lots of compliments
Good.
that they're glad they can all come to one place and get everything done
Yeah, one stop.
and not be sent away to go get a
Yep.
picture and then come back.
Very helpful in the process.
It's a good service.
So, let's see, expense, salaries is at 2.5. The last 2 years, we've had emergency management paying some of Sherry's. Sherry's been doing a little bit of work for Sarah, and then that's come out of her budget. She's informed us that the state is now requiring that any of the money that's spent out of her budget, the individual has to get 24 hours of continuing education. And so for the 5 hours a week that Sherry was doing mostly secretarial type work, I'm not sure that that was worthwhile to try and get her to go to 24 hours of continuing education for emergency management, because that's really not what she was doing. So we're not gonna be able to get that from emergency management anymore. So the salary reflects Sherry's full salary and my full salary. Does that make sense?
That's why that difference is up there, okay?
Yep.
That's why the difference. FICA IFRS, insurance I put in at 7%. General office supplies I lowered a little bit. Medical tests, I think last year I was over on that line item because we buy a pool testing kit every other year. And so that increase reflects that in 2019 I'll be buying another one of those. Postage and mailing, I increased from 1,200 to 3,000, and that's because of the passports. I wasn't sure how to budget that, but when passports alone came in at $1,100 in postage, and my budget was only at $1,200, I knew I had to boost that up, because we still do mail other things. And then the postage went up, it was $5.95 to mail one envelope, and one envelope could go anywhere from 1 passport application to 10. Now it's $6.95, or $6.95, I think, yeah. So it did go up. So that 3,000 may not even be enough, but that's what I put in there. That also includes our share of the meter fee that we're being split out. Everything else on there is the same. Grant expenses, I just put up a little bit. We put in a large order of radon test kits last fiscal year, so those should get us by for a while, so hopefully that won't include too much radon. The well testing, like I said, we'd spent more in that area, so I did raise that, but that's the grants to counties. Contract services, Steve Hogestrad, who does our perk test for us, requested an increase. He was getting paid $85 per perk test. He requested an increase to $95 per perk test. That, he actually requested that last year, and he didn't get it to me on time. So that went in this year in the Board of Health. We met on Tuesday, and they did approve that for him. that's why the increase in the contract services and the mileage. Motor vehicle, we had that capital account, which we have now wiped out when we replaced the truck with the Edge that we now have. So now we are looking to build that back up, so that if, hopefully we have enough time, enough money to replace whatever vehicle needs to be replaced next. Putting $1,000 in there wasn't gonna build it up very quickly, so, and the 3,000 was, do you do 3, do you do 5, where do you start? And the Board of Health seemed to think that the 3,000 was reasonable. So then the passport expense I lowered, and the passport expense should only be at this point photo paper and copy paper and some miscellaneous stuff. The big expense was the passport photo machine, which was a one-time deal. Hopefully, it'll last us long enough that that will be money if we do have to replace it in the future, but that's where it stands now, so that's where I'm at.
Any questions or comments for Terry?
No, the Board of Health did approve their portion of the budget at Tuesday night's meeting.
No questions or comments? Thanks for your time, Terry. and
Yep.
we'll keep in
Thanks,
touch
Terry.
with you.
Okay.
Thanks, Terry.
Thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda is the treasurer's fiscal 19 budget. Eugene, welcome.
Good morning. You all have copies
Yeah,
of
we
it?
got copies,
Okay,
yep.
all right.
I don't have a copy of yours.
Do the next two.
Get a copy of yours.
Okay, there really are not a lot of changes on mine this year. Start at the top with the auto registration. I've been low in my budget estimates the last couple of years, so I increased that revenue by 25,000. The use tax and mailing fees have been pretty constant, so I haven't changed those. Driver's license, that's still kind of a crapshoot, you know, depending on what happens the rest of this year. It's gonna be anyone's guess, but we're on track to end the fiscal year a little under our $50,000 estimated from last year's budget. But spring and summer, I just don't know what they're gonna bring yet.
Didn't they kind of warn us that there could be
Yes,
a
and
peak
that.
in a valley in there?
Yes, they did. You know, and again, with CDLs for agricultural purposes, maybe this summer, spring and summer, that might our business might pick up a little bit more.
Mhm.
And the DOT has suggested that 2019's issuance numbers may start declining, partly due to where we're at in that cycle to extend the issuance from 5 to 8 years.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I did decrease that to 42,000 just to be a little bit safer. The administration revenue, that's going to, I'm predicting that's gonna remain pretty constant compared to the last couple of years. There was an increase in the other miscellaneous fees line last year because we were reimbursed by the DOT for 3 computers. That's not gonna happen this year, so I decreased that again. And that increase that I showed last year on there was a wash between the revenue line and the expense line. Money going out for 3 computers and the DOT reimbursing us. So administration revenue should remain pretty constant. The expenses, of course, the big one, of course, is the salaries, and with that, the FICA and IPERS. I got 3 salary lines to look at. There's 2 in government services, one for motor vehicle and one for driver's license. And then there's another salary line in the administration area. And we figured your 3.25% increase for elected officials and deputies and a 2.5% increase for non-elected, non-deputy positions. So the total for our salaries in these three lines is going to be right at $340,000, which also increases the FICA and the IFRS. Insurance, I figured a 6% increase on insurance. And along with that, you'll see a little more because of a retiring employee. We'll be paying 1 year insurance for that employee as well. In the 8181.01 lines for mileage and subsistence, I'm gonna leave that the same as it was the last couple of years. In the administration area, it's very similar again to last year. I'm going to decrease the postage line by $1,500. Last year I had estimated that our postage costs would increase with driver's license, but driver's license really had little or no effect on that postage line. But I would like to move $900 of that to my mileage and subsistence line to cover increased costs for travel, for meetings and trainings. Other lines in administration have remained fairly constant the last 3 years. The office supplies, telephone, educational and training services, office data processing, and dues and membership would remain the same. And that's about it. You'll see on that second to the bottom line, the office data processing maintenance. Last year was $10,150. This year, I'm moving that back down to $7,000 because I won't be purchasing computers this year.
You mean to 8,000?
8,000.
You got a 7,000.
Actually, it should be 7,000. That's a mistake. I'm sorry.
Oh, it
Yeah,
should be
I've got
7.
it. It should be 7,000.
Then the total off on this one then too?
Yeah, $1,000.
$1,000
It's $1,000 high. We can lower that by $1,000.
So it'd be 298.
I will, yeah.
So you had roughly $20,000 increase in salaries over the years, from last year's budget. But you're asking is only like 5,000, correct?
Right.
Is that the way we're looking at
It's
that?
the salary, yes, is.
Your retired
it's-
employee.
It's under where, it's less than what I'm allowed according to the percentages, but because of having one employee going out, a high-end employee and a new coming in, the adjustment there is
And
is
your-
less
your-
than my.
And a health insurance
Health insurance.
adjustment
Mhm.
Yeah.
for the same reasons.
Yes, thank you.
Questions or comments for Gene?
Any questions for us?
No, just the only thing that I don't have figured in here, or the things I don't have figured in here, would be whatever we decide to do with CDL this next year, and our space needs. But,
Space needs will fall underneath our courthouse
okay,
general, right? 'Cause I think that's right.
Yeah, I would say.
So that wouldn't affect yours, but
and then
CDLs would.
CDL would affect my budget, and what we do there is something that we'll need to discuss probably after the 1st of May, and see where we go with that.
Alrighty, thank you, Gene.
Very good.
All right?
Thank you.
You're welcome, thank you.
Okay, with that, we'll go down to item number 7, and that is appointment of the recorder, and we've got a resolution, I'll just read that here. This is Carroll County Resolution number 2018-002. Be it resolved by the Board of Supervisors of Carroll County, Iowa, in regular session assembled this 29th day of January 2018, to approve the appointment of Kathy Schwaller to the position of Carroll County Recorder effective February 1, 2018, per Iowa Code, Chapter 69.14A, subsection 2A-1, until the next pending election as defined in the Iowa Code, Chapter 69.12. With that, we need a motion to approve the resolution.
So moved.
Need a second?
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we got a motion and a second on the floor. Since it is a resolution, it is roll call.
Do we have discussion first?
Okay, we do discussion.
I'm gonna abstain from voting. Basically, I'm gonna make a point whether I vote or not. And the outcome is obvious. Kathy's gonna be appointed, which I have no objection to that. I have objection to the appointment by the recorder as opposed to finishing her term and voting. And I'm sticking to that as opposed to being a sheep, following the herd. And Kathy Schwaller's name has been in the motion. According to our minutes of January, a person would be appointed. Apparently, the other person's not being considered. I would have to say that politics is alive and well in the courthouse, and no disrespect to Kathy at all. So I'm going to abstain from voting.
Okay, any other discussion?
I'm gonna be in the same position, guys. I don't think you've put us in that position. I think we made our points last 2 weeks ago. I'm not gonna rehash that again. Just, I feel that's the position we've been placed in, and that's where I'm gonna stay. So I will be abstaining from this vote.
And I guess I was a little bit surprised, Marty, that the resolution came out as Kathy Schwaller, that we couldn't have a debate about who was to be, because the original, what we discussed 2 weeks ago was there was gonna be an appointment. And
And there was
that could be.
no name mentioned.
That could be anybody in the world, to be quite honest with you. And so that was, I take that a little bit of offense to that Kathy's, nothing against Kathy, but, you know, I just, that's not gonna change my vote in any way, but I do believe, you
It
know,
should have been blank.
it should have been blank.
You know, and with that said, we really only have one application for it. And
Should have been blank.
And it's not the
Yeah.
person that's on this, so. That's the other part that's kind of rubbed me a little wrong, I guess. And it's nothing against Kathy, because she's probably a great person.
Well, and I don't have a problem with it. I mean, I think there's a lot of assumptions done here. But I do think it should have probably been left open, because 2 weeks ago, we did say we was gonna make an appointment. There was no name mentioned. I think there was a lot of assumptions done on at that point, but,
Yeah.
and the outcome is probably gonna wind up being the same. So I don't know if it's even a big, but I'm gonna still follow through on it. I think, whether our present recorder resigned early or not, I mean, I don't think it's in our place to question why she did it at the point in time that this was done. And there's the other thing she could have done. She could have just said, you know, come January 31st, I may not be around as much, and, but I'm gonna still hang around. And she would have kept collecting the salary. I do respect the fact that she didn't do that, and she did, so to speak, push herself away from the dinner plate. I mean, I've seen where this has happened in other counties, and if they would have done that, there would have been nothing we could have done about it. So, and I'm still following through it, so.
I will say this, that following that vote that we made a couple weeks ago, I got a lot of support for that. So, and it came from both parties, so I don't think it's necessarily political. Well, it isn't political for me. You can call it political. I think the process is right. And we debated that, and I'm not gonna we don't need to go over that again, but I did get a lot of support for what the decision was.
And I will echo that too. And it was, there was, do you want to call it political or not? If it was anything, there was more support from your party, Neil, than there was from my party.
I guess my comments is the day-to-day of activities of the recorder's office have to go on. We can't close the office down because somebody's not there. I think we need to make the appointment And I think if there's a special election that comes forward, we follow the process, and that's where I'm gonna leave it.
So this is by resolution?
It's by resolution.
I'd ask that be called for the vote.
Okay, in order to call for the vote?
On roll call.
Yeah.
Dean,
Yes.
Ruggles, Rich,
Abstain.
Marty,
Yes.
Williams, Jean?
Yes.
And Brett.
Abstain.
Motion carried.
Actually, we'll probably have to change this resolution, won't we, to have the abstains on one side?
Well, we'll have to.
Well, I guess it hasn't even been in place for,
Or we could write behind.
we could write
their
behind it,
name,
Marty.
Okay.
If you wanna sign and put in parentheses, abstain. And I'll have it noted in the board minutes that you abstained from it also.
No, wait, don't write there.
Do you wanna sign on this? Just
You
make
probably
a-
run, write
Oh, I
abstain.
thought we
on
were
that
just
side.
gonna write it.
I'll write it
Just
behind.
right beside it.
Okay.
Yeah, just put abstain and then put it up, we can just sign it. That way it's clear.
This is the public notice on 10, as far as, special election or anything.
Why don't you write A behind yours so you, so it's clear. Yeah, I've seen that in the paper.
Okay, with that, we'll move down to item number 8, is the secondary roads. Dave?
Congratulations, Kathy.
Congratulations, Kathy.
Morning, Dave.
Morning,
David.
everyone.
Good.
You shaved.
I did.
That was last week.
You did last week.
Warmer weather.
New man.
Found his cat.
Here are the results of pickup loads. Just getting right down to business here.
They're close.
They were. Yeah, there were three of them that were pretty darn close there.
Quite close. Just find it hard that the same company's a little different.
Mhm.
They'll met your specifications.
I believe they did, as near as I can tell, yeah. Got
That's
the
kind of
individual quotes if you.
kind of unusual that the one that's got the low bidder's been the one that's been
Highest.
high on everything else lately.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I have vehicles, but I don't know if we've ever quoted a pickup. I think
Well,
we've
and
always
the
been
the other thing is.
Some
too,
type
yeah.
of,
Pickup it is, then this is you're in that 2,500 series too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And
It
it's
is a
the LT or the SLT, to get a decent seat, had to go to that,
Mhm.
which is, I don't
Is that-
understand that.
Is that the same through all the
Throughout.
different types of?
Every
you know?
one of them were that way, yeah.
Okay.
So what you couldn't just order a seat?
Couldn't order a premium seat, no. You want a truck premium seats, you can just go down and get one.
So what does seat cost? So what does this seat cost?
About
us?
$800, huh?
What does this seat cost us then?
Oh, $1,000, maybe a little more.
But you pick up more than the seat too, you pick up a few more extras.
Yeah,
Bells and
yeah,
whistles.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really kinda hard to put a price on
A
it.
price,
Quite.
exactly on it, yeah. If we went down and ordered it just on its own, then it probably would be $800, but
Yeah, if they'd let you do it,
if they'd let you do it.
yeah.
Is there any reason we should not accept the low bid?
No.
I'll move to accept the low bid.
I'll second that.
Okay, got a motion and a second to accept the low bid. Any other discussion? If not, we'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
We had a truck hit our
Even though it's
gas
the wrong
pump around the
brand.
fuel depot.
Hmm?
Even though it's the wrong brand.
Yeah, a truck hit what?
Our gas pump down at the fuel depot, that's the second time that's happened. They didn't take the card reader out this time. They didn't take the pump out, it just kind of shifted it on its foundation.
Just
It'll
get
probably
hit.
take a new pump.
Oh,
Somebody hit it?
Somebody hit it, yeah.
Do we have some barrier posts there
Well,
to stop that?
we do.
Not to stop that, obviously.
I kind of just skirted by the edge of it.
Right by the, just
Yeah.
right.
Same thing they did last time, and it was a semi again, I think.
Just right.
Across the road, yeah.
But we know who it was?
We do, yeah. Yeah, they file an accident report,
Okay.
so we'll go through the procedure.
I saw a pickup once, climbed one of those.
Oh, my.
Post
Really?
was caught on top of it. I don't know how that ever happened. I don't know how you could get to that position, but so nothing surprises me, Dave, as far as.
You do see a lot of things out on the road, don't you? You see all kinds of stuff.
Goodness.
Seen a few things, huh?
Uh,
Yep.
I'm gonna bring up the 150th Street Jewel situation.
Yeah,
I can do it now, or I'll do it while you're present, I guess.
Is it
Last
down by
Monday
Mount
night.
Carmel?
Yeah, last Monday night, I got a call from an individual that there was water over the road at 150th Street and Jewel. So that would be the road that goes out of Mount Carmel to the south, and it's,
Right on the east edge.
yeah, right on the east edge. It goes down to 150th Street. And
Comes to a
there was
T
water
intersection.
over the road. Dave, explain the situation, but. there
culvert
was-
froze shut. There's a pretty large box culvert there that's silted in over the years due to a number of reasons. But it silted in all except for about that much of the top, and the rain must have sent freezing water down there. It froze in there, and there was a slug of ice in there, and it held the water back, so we had water going over the road.
Kind of unusual this time of year.
Not really for this time of year because of the melting. There was a lot of, that was when the weather was really nice and so I can give, there's several pictures you can slide back and forth here, but I took pictures of it. They dug a lot of dirt out of there.
Yeah.
They went down there with a backhoe and so, yeah.
Doing a lot of excavating here.
And there was new lime rock put in there, but that's very flat in there, that whole area.
Yeah, apparently
Yes.
back in the 1960s, we looked in the aerial photos, there used to be a ditch through there, an open ditch on both sides, matched the flow lines of the box culvert. And they put in a dam and a pond downstream of this, and over the years, that's all silted in, and to where finally, caused some trouble. It usually flows the water, I don't recall water going over the road in a storm, but just the way it's
It takes
configured.
yeah.
It takes water,
Screw it.
but when it froze, it didn't take the water. They wound up, actually, they wound up kind of jetting it out with some of the water that they had there from one of the pumps. They had 3 and 4 pumps hooked up to it to try to get down and get in there with something, because it was quite a slug of ice.
When I went down there the next morning, the water was actually coming from, it comes from the north, the southeast part of the intersection.
Mhm.
And then it was going across the gentleman's lane to the south, and it was going over the road there. And then there was another culvert that,
That actually goes back into that box culvert.
Right,
too.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah, right. And So I don't know, my question to Dave was, after this whole thing, I think it looks pretty good. I was back there again yesterday, that's when I took these pictures. But there's probably gonna have to be something done there. You know,
North of where, south of where I lived, when I lived north of Lauderdale, Ed Berger was the road man at that time. He was out there one winter day chopping snow away from the culvert. He said, this one can freeze up.
yeah.
They do freeze up,
Mhm.
and the water can go over the road here. So he was being proactive and chopping away the
Chopping
snow
away,
away.
knowing that that's probably could happen,
And
yeah.
This may have had dirt in it, probably did if it was level, but they can freeze up even if they don't have dirt in it. I've seen it happen several times.
Where are we gonna pick up the grade at then if it's that flat?
That's the question. It's kind of
Yeah.
one of those tough ones actually, because the landowner in the sixties, whoever that was, built this pond, did that, and caused this siltation.
Now the
actually.
sediment is backed
Now
up.
the sediment's backed up in there, and I think what we're gonna wind up doing is cleaning out the culvert, because, it's probably a $30,000 culvert. And
Mhm.
we've got one just up to the north of there that we could relay probably in salvage, we'd probably have to spend $4,000 or $5,000 to do that one, but the same situation.
But the way it appears to me that the culvert is so low, the top of the culvert, I mean, all the ground to the
The
south.
culvert's
and
low or
east
the
is-
ground's high.
Mhm. Yeah,
Well, you got-
I mean, the ground is, there's just not any room in the culvert anymore
You
for the water to go through.
You got two options there, raise the road and raise the culvert, or otherwise go out in the field and clean it out.
Yeah.
And you
All
can't
the
do
way down
that.
to the dam.
So and I don't, I'm sure I'll be talking to Leanne at some point in time, see how often that happens, but you don't think that happens?
No,
very
this is the
often?
first time that's happened to my knowledge, and it happens other places, and it's usually the same thing, and this sort of stuff with culverts happens, they're either too low or they're too high, and some are easily fixable, and some are not. We can clean this out too, we can jet it out, it took probably 25, 30 years for it to get all that silt.
We could put a
deposited
Missouri
in.
bridge in there,
Yeah. That'd be a good.
Missouri
idea.
crossing.
Just kind of
Just
splash through that water.
Put some cement in the water go through.
Have a recreational area.
There's one over by BBQ in town, you can look at it. if you wanna go
Load
see
the
what
Speed
it's like.
bump, instead of a speed bump.
We've been there.
Reverse speed bump.
That scared me.
Slow the traffic down.
Anyway.
But then it dies up in there and then you slide under the ditch.
That was probably the excitement for the week anyways.
Yeah.
And it did actually wind up jetting the dirt out with the outlet from one of the pumps. And Paul and Darren actually came up with the idea that, well, let's jet it, and the dirt was soft, and so they
Yeah,
jetted it.
flushed it.
All of a sudden, it broke through, and it was just like
Breaking the dam.
breaking the dam, it just come whooshing out of there.
Well, the individual that calls me is very concerned. I don't know if the water was 3 foot in. He said it was 3 foot. And he said that it had washed part of the road out. Yeah, yeah. And so you can see in the pictures that they did add quite a bit of lime rock in there.
I think it did wash out a foot on the edge of the road.
Yeah. So, all right. Thought I'd bring that up while you were here, so.
That was excitement for the week.
Rag Road.
Don't know a thing about it.
Okay.
Was really surprised.
Yeah, I know the two towns has got to translate into some passing.
Yeah.
The two overnights.
We're kinda-
How they're gonna make that work, I don't know
Well,
yet, but-
what really surprised me was the Crawford County.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They must have lifted that ban.
We looked
But
this
the
morning.
way I
with-
read the registers, they were pretty strong that they were gonna follow 30.
They're gonna follow the Highway 30 corridor. I talked to some.
Corridor.
Yeah,
That's
I
what
talked to
I
somebody
got.
from the register yesterday, actually, and he said, no, they probably will not be on 30 at all.
Okay, I was gonna say.
Yeah.
That I just.
Generally speaking, if
see
they're gonna
you'd
use
heard
our
anything.
roads, we would get notification before
The route's
they
determined.
let the route out.
But typically aren't the overnights announced and then the route?
Yeah,
was
the routes
within
come
10
in,
days
oh, it's about a
usually
month.
Afterwards.
Yeah, I think in about a month. I think they got the route, but I'm sure they're gonna be contacting you now before.
Well, I think they actually have somebody go out and look at the routes before they.
Yeah. Well, I
Make
think
the
that's
overnights.
probably been done already.
They usually send you a letter and make it kind of formal.
Okay, just curious if you'd heard anything.
Yeah, no, I was
That's
curious too, and I
gonna make
saw it.
So
some
how would they-
issues.
Down a Reed Road, down to 141, across down 141, and then maybe snake up through some of those Greene County, Carroll County roads to get in the back way.
Yeah, they could come over north of Denison, come out, come through Breda. I mean, they could to Litterdale and
Yeah.
Yep.
go that way.
Yeah, that
That'd
route's
be the
about
best way.
70-some miles though, and I think they got 71.3 allocated for it.
Yeah, it seen the
Going
mileage,
to
it was the
Litterdale,
longest
might
day,
get
and
that
I
deep,
thought
yeah.
about that south route, and that sounded about right.
Dean, I vote for your route.
Well, supposedly they're not gonna come through Breda again.
That's what I was just gonna ask.
Until TJ's gone.
Thanks for goodness
Tell you
sakes.
about that later.
I know what you're talking about.
Does that occur as often as the ice?
Yeah.
Every
kinda
time,
like
every
the
time
ice.
Ragbri goes from Rita.
Oh, goodness. I can't think of anything else.
Shit.
I'm working on some
Alright.
truck specs and trailer specs and
The road by Willie.
the road by Woodley.
You could get a hold of those people they told me about last week on the culverts, or the bridges, box culverts, east of Willie. Wiskus and.
Oh, yeah. I got hold of him, yeah.
Okay.
I just, I wasn't tracking, obviously.
Long week.
Yeah, no, he called me back that afternoon, but I'm gonna probably meet him next week and trying to,
Okay.
we've got 3 box culverts that we're gonna let, kind of get hold of landowners, talk to them, make sure that they don't have any hardness in the road.
Those northeast of Willow.
Those 2 east of Willie, and, one kind of south of Arcadia. Who's getting close to 30.
If you want, I can go out with you next week if you do that, just let me know.
Yeah, you were right, it was a family member that owned that ground, that
Yeah.
was, and he farmed it, so
Yeah.
it worked out good. Called his
Good.
home, and he called me from work, and so I'm hoping this Friday we can get together.
Let me know, I'll be around Friday if you need him, or next week, whatever.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Dave.
Thanks
Thanks,
much.
Dave.
Thanks, Dave.
Okay, with that, we'll go down to item number 9, is the payables, and you got those in your packet also.
I had no questions for there, you sit down in your office.
Yeah, it was kind of a light payable this time, except for the insurance.
Yeah.
Okay, and, I'll make a motion to approve the payables.
Okay, got a motion on the floor, we need a second?
I'll second.
Okay, got a motion and a second to approve the payables, any other discussion? If not, we'll call for the vote, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign, motion carries. Okay, with that, we'll go down to item number 11 is the manure management updates, and we just got one today. It's for Woodford Creek Farms LLC, and that's in section 5 of Neese Township, and there, it's just an original plan update, so that's all we got for the manure management plan. So with that, we'll go down to number 12, is committee reports. You want to start out, Rich?
Yep, had just one thing last week. I went to the watershed with Dean down at Adele. I'm not gonna go too much, I'll let Dean report on most of it, he just sits at the table there, so. But there were pretty good attendance. I thought there was a lot of vendors there, which could probably stir up a lot of competition for some of these little projects that are gonna get started and done, and I think that's a good thing. But yet you could kinda tell that they sure swarmed in because there was money. They come from all over the place, so. Yeah, that was very good. I did not have anything else last week. The daycare meeting was canceled because of some flu issues. That was a last minute thing. In fact, I was just getting ready to walk out the door when they pulled the plug on that one. This upcoming Thursday, we have a statewide supervisors meeting in Des Moines, and we'll be attending that. And other than that, I have nothing in front of me right now.
Thanks, Dean. Rich, Dean, do you have anything?
Yeah. We went over the Monday, the water over the road issue already, so I won't address that. Had a Board of Health meeting on Tuesday night, and we had to wait till we could get a quorum. So, took about 10 minutes before a third person showed up so we could start the meeting. But it was a good meeting. We had Marcia Schaefer gave her report first. I don't really have much on her. Everything seems to be on track very well there. I was concerned about the flu epidemic that's going around, and they don't seem to be as concerned. Although it's not a good situation, they haven't called any school yet. They haven't, and the visits to the nursing homes has not been restricted. So it seems, although I was wondering if there was any numbers, the flu numbers are not reported to the Iowa Public Department of Health, so you don't get those. If there is a death, that gets reported. Let's see here, go through here, see if there's anything else. Marcia was asked by Manning in a grant that they are pursuing to help them with the Living Well Iowa Healthy Living for People with Disabilities. She got pegged to write a letter in support of Manning's efforts to make things easier for people with disabilities. So she was very proud of that, to be able, very happy to do that for them. She reported on the Conservation Board meeting as far as having reduced or free, basically not doing away with the $15 permit to allow more people to use the trail. And we discussed that, and that really did not go anywhere. There is a Pizza Ranch fundraiser coming up.
So, and who's pushing this to reduce the fee on the trail?
Basically, the public nurse.
And how
So-
does she propose that we maintain the trail?
Maintain the trail? I think that was a discussion that we had, and that was the end of the discussion. So, home care aides, pretty much the same thing that you heard this morning was, from Megan. As far as Marcia is concerned, they are getting a grant to do wheelchair charging stations. I think they were gonna have one over here in the mall, and it's where people go with wheelchairs. I think they were gonna talk to the Conservation Board about putting a station out there. Somebody said Kalen's Kingdom is probably gonna get one regardless. At the Carroll Track out there by DMAC, I think that was one. And my suggestion was a library. I thought that would be a good place to have one as opposed to the mall, because it'd be open more on the weekends and that type of thing. So, and my suggestion was to basically find out where these people are at and find out where
where they.
Where they go,
need 'em.
where they want 'em,
Where-
yeah, exactly.
Rather than force them to someplace else.
Carrie, for the environmental health, gave her report and her budget. We approved it. And John Munson and Karen Tim were there, and they presented their budget to the board, and they're asking. There must have been a little confusion. I don't recall this, but I think Courtney made the comment that last year they never came. And suppose, he said last year he made, the request at the Board of Health meeting, feeling that was sufficient. And I said, well, thank you for that, but I do believe you need to go in front of the Board of Supervisors to make that request. So he's gonna.
That's the way it's always been done
Yeah.
in all these years.
So he says, I have absolutely no problem with that. I would have done it last year if that was what you wanted me to do. So John, and that will probably come, he'll probably come. I think they're asking is, I don't want to talk out of school, but I believe it's going to be a little bit higher than it was last year, so. That was the Board of Health. One thing that did come up was an email that they got from Heather Bombay, who is with the Iowa Department of Public Health, the regional director, and was about House File 2017, about splitting, basically doing away with the Iowa Department of Public Health and putting 3 divisions into public safety and 2 divisions into Department of Human Services. So I guess we'll just follow that. Then on Friday, went to the North Raccoon Water Management Coalition annual meeting in Adel. And the setup was, it was the annual meeting, so I think under the circumstances that the director, the project coordinator that was hired is originally from the Philippines. And so I think there was an outreach to all these members, and that's why I think they invited engineers and EMA personnel and just a lot to have breakout sessions to discuss plans of action for him, so that he has a better understanding of what the individuals in the area, in the watershed, think. And I thought that was pretty good. I mean, I was a little bit skeptical of it at first, but I think it did generate some pretty good
Gave him a
topics.
lot of direction, I think.
Yes,
Of
yes.
where the group wants to head.
Yeah, so I mean, he's gonna review those, and they're gonna email that results out to everyone, but they broke it up into counties and cities, counties, and soil and water districts. So I think he got a pretty good idea of what direction he needs to go. I'll go back here, and I really don't think there was anything else. We approved other meetings. We spent a lot of time on the breakout sessions, and that was probably pretty much it. I thought at first, I think I mentioned to Rich that it was probably a little bit overrated.
Yeah.
But I think
Yeah.
that it probably
By the
was a
time
pretty
I was
good.
done, my opinion changed.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
probably a pretty good deal,
Yeah.
so it took most of the afternoon, so. With that, that's all I have for this week. This week I have the supervisors meeting on Thursday, and that's it, state supervisor meeting.
Thanks, Dean.
Oh,
Go ahead.
before we go on, there was a little talk, and I think maybe I told you already, that maybe they might try to rejuvenate the South and Middle Raccoon process.
Yeah.
They may try to bring that back. to-
Well, I think
there
that's,
was a little talk about it.
we've been talking about that quite a bit, actually, with Mark Hansen, and I think, I think that process is going. There is $100,000 that's gonna be available up until February 23rd. But according to Kyle Ament from the DNR, at this point in time, that $100,000 is gonna be there again next year. So, it's kind of unsure, I don't know if you wanna bet on that happening, but with things, the way things are going, but, we can't get anything going quick enough to get anything in place to get that 100,000. I think the plan is, Mark and I talked about it, the plan would be to get the $100,000, and and I've got that here someplace, and I can show you. It's for structures and it's for planning. It's out of, IDALS has it, it's the Iowa Department of Land Stewardship has the money. And what we could do with it is to extend our plan. We, in 2014, between 2012 and 2014, there was planning done, like up in the Elk Run. That's why that got some attention, because there was already a plan made, a master plan completed. And so we can go ahead and, if we could get that $100,000, we could then continue to complete the plan for the north and south, or the south and middle Raccoon watershed management. I don't think, we kind of got late notice on that. I found out in an email from Mark about it, and I think everybody's so busy this time of year that.
Yeah, budget season, you're just cranking
Yeah.
into everybody.
So, I don't think we can get anything done. I'm gonna talk to Mark again this week on that, but I don't know if there's anything
Maybe
that we
this
can
summer
do
we
to.
might see some activity on it, maybe.
Well, I think between now and next year, I think we should see some activity
Yeah,
on it.
if they're
Get
gonna try to make it work.
Yeah, and so that we can be in place next year to apply for that funding, so. That's it.
Thanks, Neil.
Okay. Gene and I met with Louis Grody on the Veterans Affairs, and the main thing is there, he's gonna be asking for another 10% increase. Last year he got 5%, and he's had a reduction in the allocation a little bit. So that's two things you wanna watch for when Louis comes in. We also met with Rosie Stotts, General Assistance, little change there. Tuesday evening had the RSVP and foster grandparent executive board meetings. As far as foster grandparents, I'll start there. They're having a recruitment campaign. They have 8 people, and I've probably sound like a broken record in repeating this, in that they're gonna have, they have a problem recruiting people. Some people who they would love to have do not meet the income eligibility. So they would like to have about 13 people. So they're trying to recruit about 5 more. In RSVP, they talked about the expansion grant, and the person they'd hired in Crawford County has already found quit. Well, after she got trained, she found a full-time job, and they're still looking for space. Crawford County's growing well. They're gonna change the term, or the board member limit a little bit, because I assume that these people who are financing it in Calhoun and Crawford County are gonna want some representation on the board. So we're having an attorney do some work on the his own expense, some expansion grant, some change of name and the board member limit. It's a little bit complicated in that the RSVP, the foster grandparents, are operating with the same board right now, and they'll have to get split up because foster grandparents might be under the same board at RSVP, maybe a portion of it. Okay. Wednesday, the big meeting was the Rolling Hills meeting, and I think we had a very large attendance there. We're gonna meet again on March 5th. Main thing is Woodbury County. We had our previous our other reports, and Woodbury County used most of the time putting their best foot forward, asking to join Rolling Hills Region. There were basically 3 proposals. One was to limit it for a year. One was unique in that it came from our board, was to lower our levy in order to let Rolling Hills in at an even keel. Which I don't think we should do that, and to, eat out of Woodbury County's hand. Another one is, we're going to relook at the budget. There's some different numbers as far as what they would have to pay as far as joining a region, and they seemed quite willing to pay to make it an even financial situation. To join our region, I think on an ongoing basis, they would be great consumers rather than providers. So we're gonna meet in March 5th and try to make a determination. We basically kick the can down the road another month. And I have concerns in that, when Cherokee County joined, they had to up the ante too. They had to provide some of their reserves in order to make it an even contribution. And when Woodbury County joins, it'll be basically doubling the size of our region, and it'll be totally changing the composition of the region from mostly rural to half urban. And so I have some reservations about Rolling Hills allowing Woodbury County to join our thing. But anyhow, we're gonna have a meeting before the meeting, small meeting, on March 5th. And before we have a meeting March 5th, we have a meeting of some of the board members, not a quorum, of course, and look at our different possibilities. Any question on, it's a big deal whether or not we let Rolling Hills join, let Woodbury County join Hills. It seems more like Rolling Hills would be joining Woodbury County, as if I say it that way, it seems that way.
Yeah. So if, if this was, say the vote was to happen today, how would it go, you think?
I don't know. Assuming that they would financially agree, and I think they would, to make a level playing field to pay in advance in order to get in, I think the vote would be very close, Gene. And not only does Rolling Hills board need to vote the recommendation, but each of the board members need to vote on it. Each of the boards, Carroll County, Calhoun County, Sac County, need to vote for it also. I guess one of the major reasons of letting or allowing Woodbury County to join is if DHS tells us that we're gonna take them, well, we won't have a negotiation advantage. They just say, here we go. So that's
Has there been any discussion what's gonna happen to the other two counties?
No.
And I guess it's not really our problem, but.
Rich was there, so the question didn't ask this time, but the question asked last time Rich was there was, well, if we allow you, assuming we allow you to join Rolling Hills, and Sioux County and Plymouth County come also to join Rolling Hills, will you vote to let them in? We've got different answers, different supervisors there.
So, you mentioned the possibility of the DHS making us do that. Do you think that's even a possibility?
Well, I don't know. They aren't gonna let Woodbury stand alone.
Polk County stands alone.
I know, but they said they aren't gonna allow that again. So they're gonna ask Woodbury to join somebody. So maybe our negotiation will improve, actually.
Well, that's gonna throw those other two counties into a quandary, because you have to be a minimum of 100,000, and they're not gonna make that.
Yeah.
And there was some thought that they were gonna slap 200,000 minimum on the size. That's gonna change a big. Is it too late in the process to say, you know what, let's just not, if we're gonna look at Woodbury, why don't we look at bringing all three in? And just to see where that worm will turn.
One thing I have not heard.
Still isn't within, in voting pass.
I've not heard anything from the other two counties, which
Yeah.
are Plymouth and Sioux County. You'd think they'd be there watching the board meetings.
The process.
Process a little
And,
bit.
and with the litigation, boy, it just scares me to get in the middle of that
And
with the
there is some
litigation going
litigation
on.
involved
That's the biggest
as far as how much money Woodbury County is gonna end up with, and I don't wanna get brought into that.
Yeah.
Part of the problem is our 28E is set up so that each county donates the same amount per capita. So Woodbury County's gonna have to make quite a contribution ahead of time, since we're spending down the reserve for that, donate to reserves. And they'd have to make that contribution before they join the region, basically.
And the region can't have any reserves either.
No, in fact, if they join, our population, if the law doesn't change, would require us to lower our reserve in the region from 25%, which it is now, to 20%, because we.
Which puts you right on the cusp of not being able to meet the quarterly bills if things, if the MCOs don't kick back fast enough.
Yeah.
Puts you in a kind of a financial quandary.
So it's quite a dilemma as far as letting them enter their lot and enter.
But, and you, one time you said there's a thought of kicking it, holding it off for a year or something like that?
Well, that's still on the table, is to let things ride for a year, which I'd be in favor of doing that right now. I think there's a lot of information, we're trying to make a big decision.
Too short a time.
Too short of time, I think more information would be good. Of course, we lose the opportunity, maybe they join a different region as opposed to ours. And we may have.
Where else could they go?
Well, they could go south, or they could go, basically south.
Yeah,
Touches, has to touch them, right?
All the way to the Missouri border.
I mean, that's about the only way they could go.
Yeah, either our way or south.
So is Monona with Council Bluffs then? It must be.
Right.
Here's a map, Monona.
Well, they do go down there now.
Goes right down to the border.
See, that's the only choice they have.
Is Rolling Hills or the southwest region, they call it.
The supervisor from Davis County told me that if they have to get stuck with a 200,000 minimum, it may take 16 counties down in his neck of the woods to make that.
You know, why do they, I know, I tell you what, this whole thing, and I still predict, this whole idea of this region was to get, so they didn't have to argue with so many people, and the more they can keep concentrating, the more control the state's got, and they'll wind up going over to control the state. But they want the goddamn funding coming from the counties.
There's nine counties in that
Hard to get
southwest.
warrants. There's just lots of issues.
We've got 7. So it would be a natural thing for us just to pick up all 3 of those, and that's not a good situation.
I'd rather pick up the 2 than the 1.
Yeah, let's take the 2 and not the 1. If I had my choice right now.
That's why I said.
Because they fit us, they're rural.
Yeah, that's why my comment is, can't
The only thing- the
Woodbury
only-
County do it on their own?
But Plymouth is one of the lowest on tax base.
Yeah,
Or-
it would hurt them
Or
tax.
their tax asking, I should say.
One of the problems is if we let them join, is no matter where they stay, they have to reduce their services. And either they make a decision, and they're running the region, or we make the decision, or we're the bad guy. We're gonna be the bad guy either way, for us. So that was a question I have. I said, well, one thing they proposed was to rewrite our 28E agreement, so saying that Woodbury County spends no more than it provides. Well, who's gonna make that decision? You're looking like a region within a region, or a county within a region that's being treated differently. And our premise on the 28E with the Rolling Hills is to treat everybody the same.
Isn't that why Woodbury County is trying to get out of the region they are, because they don't have enough voice?
Well, I think they're getting outvoted 2-1, so
Yeah.
I hear. to have those services in the other counties opposed to.
And they think that they can join us and that picture's gonna get better?
One of 7 now
I don't
instead
know.
of one of
They're one of
3.
7 rather than one of 3.
Yeah.
The percentages that go down in my math, but.
I would think so.
But I don't mean that be that right.
Other things that I intended, well, we did get a letter from, maybe we should put it on the agenda, from Shive Hattery, looking for someone to be the point person. Did you get that, the professional services agreement?
I got it from Ken.
Ken, yeah, Ken would like us to discuss this, maybe we should invite Ken up here to the meeting next time. And that they need a point person, a contact person, to make the small decisions as far as their professional services agreement. In fact, we need to sign it if we're gonna sign it. So maybe it should be.
Put that on the agenda.
Put that on the
Put it
agenda.
on the agenda,
Yeah.
next meeting. Gene and I also got a letter from the ambulance union where they're requesting which is gonna be on the agenda next meeting. They're requesting. And I attended the legislative forum, and I was glad to see that we had a full board of supervisors there at the legislature's forum.
Did you see them?
Next week, I plan on spending Thursday at the, in Des Moines, at the supervisors legislative forum. Let's see, at the legislative forum, just for the public's notice, since the public did watch this, notice that they're, one of their big expenses and big problems is Medicaid. Apparently, they claim that Medicaid in Iowa is better than the other state, and this, they're gonna look for savings in Medicaid, which is gonna be hard to do. I conclude my speech.
Thanks, Dan. Gene?
Well, first 2 things I have is the 2 budgets that Neil and I did, that Neil report on the veterans and the general services. And then on Tuesday, after that, I had at noon at CADC board meeting, or CADC meeting. We talked about where we voted on the confirmation of Charlie Nixon to join the CADC board for Coon Rapids, because I think, what's his name, is basically going to start phasing out Mr. Carpenter. And a lot of the discussion we had was in regard to the DOT meetings that's been going around and things like that. Talked about the PDI Grow Day is Tuesday. The Access Washington, we're working, it looks like it's gonna be in June. Don't have the final date yet. So if anybody's got any topics that you want brought up, let us know. We're debating about whether we need to do the department heads, like in the past we went to Department of Transportation or Department of Energy, and maybe not doing them this year if we don't have anything major on that part. Let's see. Basically continue to get the, we're looking at doing the business retention, those contacts, we go out to the businesses that we do a survey with them and stuff like that, those visits, and that'll be starting up here shortly again. Talked about some different conferences that are coming up. Also that, you might want to mark this date down, March 1st is going to be the next county roundtable, and that is going to be somewhere here in Carroll. CADC is going to be hosting that this time. Talked about the Roger Brooks Conference that's going to be down in Manning, 25th to 26th of April. That's going to be a $60 per person fee. And I think that was about it for CADC. Then that evening I had a policy council meeting. Again, we went through all the program reports. We were like 7 short on kids, but we got 30 days to fill them, and they were filled at the time of the meeting. Went through health and safety. We didn't have any there. We did go through the health and safety screener. We reviewed that and approved that. That's a process where they have 2 people go through each classroom and check out different things, make sure everything's safe That's been done. Went through the school readiness committee meeting. Also, we had a couple staff updates. There started the recruitment kickoff for next year, and I think that was about it. Yeah, so, and I don't know how those people get anything done with all the reports they gotta do.
Your policy council meeting, that was for the Carroll daycare,
No, that's for Head Start.
Head Start.
Yeah, and that's probably not one, it's just that it fits underneath the new opportunities. Then also on Thursday then, new opportunities, we had an executive board meeting. We did go through some discussion in regard to a lease that we've got down at Prairie. What we're gonna do there, we've got an issue, we give up part of the building, and they're having an issue with some of the floor. We scrubbed it, but, you know, some of it's just natural wear, so we're gonna look into that. We did have a discussion in regard to government shutdown. We do have things in place that we can, if they do shut down, we can handle things for a while. So to the point that I don't think there'll ever be a shutdown where that we can't keep operating. Unless it's gonna have to be an awful long one that we get in trouble. The other thing we did do is we looked at the performance reviews that we do for Chad, and we're gonna change some of that format on that and make it a lot more or less cumbersome. After that, we had our regular board meeting. We went through the financials, everything looks good there. The audit was just finished, we don't have the report back, but there was no items that were to report. We then also went through the policy council stuff, just like I told you about, and that went through that school readiness analysis, which is gonna be the baseline for those kids for this next year. Then, again, we had another discussion on the shutdown with the whole board, and we approved the following weatherization reports. HEAP 1801, that was for $300,123. This comes from the government. Then there's the one that's IPL 1801 for $104,057. This would be the Iowa Power. Then we approved the MC 1801 for $127,461. That would be the Mid-American one. And then we had approved the one for BHE 1801, and that is for Black Hills for $36,000. The first one was up about $300,000, and the Mid-American was up $1,000, and the Black Hills was up about $9,000 over last year. The Iowa Power was basically the same as last year.
So those are annual grants?
Yeah. This is the money that, and it sounds like a lot of money, but when this gets all said and done, these are, energy assistance. And probably the most anybody ever gets is $300 per year. So it does get spread out.
So it's basically energy assistance to individuals.
For the 7 counties.
Yeah.
So it doesn't get to be, they might get a one-time $300 assistance, and that's the end of it.
So do you put any requests in on those for a particular amount?
They're basically we do on the state one, but it's always about the same, but the other ones are come from the power companies or what they provide back to the organizations.
So if they lessen their grant, there's less to give out, and individuals
And they do
get
vary.
less.
Well, like I said, some of these have changed, there's about 13,000 between all those, they're increased. And there's just as good a chance that they could go down.
Sure.
The other thing we reported, we did also the signatories page, we approved that, which is all the people that can sign for it, documents and stuff like that. And then we had a training session with the board, and that was through WIPI, which was the financial statements. That's training that we do. One thing about new opportunities, we do have quite a bit of training throughout the year. And a lot of that is being required by the federal government. they'll go back and looking through our files, what training we've had and stuff like that. So it's good. Then Saturday I was at the legislative forum. This next week, tonight, I have got the great pleasure of going to the city of Carroll to justify our
Tonight?
communication board, our communication budget. And that'll be Ken Pingree and myself and Mr. Huffman downstairs.
What time are you up?
5:15, I think. I haven't seen the agenda yet. I think it's gonna be first. Then the rest of the week, I will be at the ISAC supervisor statewide meeting.
Okay, thanks, Jim.
Oh, and I do have one other thing. And I had a long discussion the other day, Janice Holzing, in regard to a lot of topics. But one thing, Courtney will probably be getting a letter from her. Her intention is to resign from the Board of Adjustments. She just says it's time for her to quit, and I thanked her for her service, so we will be getting a letter of resignation in short term. And I think there's a lot of reasons that went into that.
We still have one board member board position to be filled on the Board of Health as well.
Yeah, and we have one on that,
on the
condemnation board too.
Right, that Dale Burns is deceased, we're gonna find somebody to replace that one also.
Are you gonna try to find somebody?
Yeah, I'll see.
I'll try to find somebody, because Carol said that we would like to have a female and would like to have from that area where she's from. And she kinda gave me a couple names, and but I really don't wanna do anything until I get her resignation.
I don't know if it's been recognized by the board that Jean is our president of ISAC. And thank you for doing that. It's a great recognition actually for
I don't know.
for the county, you know, so.
I'll accept that after the year's over.
Hold that in reserve.
So you'll be doing the introductions on
Governor Reynolds.
on Thursday, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's a good thing for Carroll County, thank you.
I've got that already.
At the end of the year, tell me how it goes, so I know how to go for 2 years from now.
Yeah, it's good. I will say this, I've enjoyed being in regard to that board. You know, it's always like you find out things a little more. And if you guys have something with legislative, I mean, I can't make you a copy of it, but I do get the legislative Bureau newsletter every night, about 11 o'clock or midnight.
What happened during the
What's
day?
going on for next day, and there is some interesting reading in it, but.
Well, there's interesting reading this year.
And the reason I say can't copy it, because they've really, in the past, they used to get one dues, paid for one subscription, they copy it, send it off the other different department, or heads. They can't do that anymore, they got copyrights on that. So, but I wish they would come out a little earlier than that, God dang, because otherwise I gotta read about it first thing in the morning, or otherwise I don't know what's going on.
Sure.
If let's say like today, I'll go home and print last night's, there was one last night, but if I print last night, hell, I don't know, not until 3 o'clock, and it's probably all over with. You know, it's kind of a bad time, but I think by the time they get that all put together, it takes that long.
Mhm.
That's the end of my reports.
Thanks, Jim. Last week I had Region 12 to go sign checks on Wednesday. Then on Friday, had a little discussion with Dave. He called me via phone. We talked a little bit about the 2 box culverts on 250th and Pebble, trying to get in touch with the landowners there and the tenants so we can let those box culvert projects this spring sometime. So that's where that's sitting at. Saturday, I went to the legislative forum out at New Hope. It was kind of interesting with listening to the shortfalls for this coming year. I think we got a real challenge as a board of supervisors to kind of, as those shortfalls come down the pike here in the next couple of years, it's going to affect us significantly. So I think we've got to kind of keep in tune with what's going on there. And then on this week, I've got the ISAC board meeting Wednesday and then Thursday, so that's my week for this week. Neil's got radio today. Yep, Neil's got radio today. Any comments from those in attendance? Okay, Joanne, do you have anything that you want to add? If not, we're in order for a motion to adjourn.
Just one more thing before we do, the courthouse will not be closing.
Yeah.
Just make sure the courthouse will not be closing.
Only
Judicial side could be, if
Yeah.
the bill moves forward.
Court services.
Court services.
I'm
Just
shocked
keep.
that we haven't had any phone calls that I'm aware of.
I took probably 4 or 5 people asked me, and it's like,
Yeah.
no,
I
no.
can't believe
no.
that hasn't been
So it's-
there.
He misquoted himself pretty badly there, or he was taken out of context.
Well, I think it came down a little bit from, yeah.
The court administrator.
Yeah.
Announced where the courthouses would be closing rather than court
Yeah.
systems would be closing.
Yeah. So there was interpretation farther up, but,
I guess one thing, other thing I'll add, we got a letter from the Iowa State University Health Promotion Club, and this is a letter in regards to Story County, and they passed an ordinance banning the electric cigarettes. And I want to visit with John a little bit on that before we decide where we want to go with that. So. we'll put-
You know,
put
and
that-
also, before we, that contract with Shrive Haverty.
Yeah.
I think Ken is trying to get John to look at that, but was John gone this last week to Vegas?
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
I think he was at some conference out there.
No comment.
No comments.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Not, we'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thanks, everybody.